Hello everyone, my name is Dylan and welcome to a brand new video. So today we have a full guide on the most important sound in the British accent. Yeah, and that is the schwa sound. So I'm going to be teaching you everything that you need to know about this schwa sound. Then finally, at the end of the video, we do also have a fun interactive exercise, so you'll get to practice your new knowledge right away. Now, before we get started, this entire lesson was actually taken from Module 2 of my British English online fluency course, which officially launches today. So this module is all about mastering your British accent. I'll share some more details later on in the video, and there is also a link in the top comment if you are curious. And trust me, this module is absolutely incredible. Right then, good luck, enjoy, and let's do this. Hi there. So in this class, I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know about the schwa sound. And before we get into this, I just want to say everything from today's lesson will be included in the PDF, along with a few extra examples as well. So make sure to check that out. Right then, what is the schwa sound? Well, as mentioned, it is this. And it's actually used to replace certain vowels in words and sentences in order to improve the flow of those words and sentences. And British people use this all the time, believe me. Now, before we get into when we use it and how we use it, let me just show you how to make this noise yourself. And it's actually very easy, don't worry. So, firstly, everything should be very relaxed. You don't want to stress any muscles. Your mouth should be slightly open. Your lips should be neutral, so flat. Your tongue should be relaxed in the center of your mouth, and you need to go So yeah, it's easy, right? And that's the whole point. It's supposed to be a very lazy and relaxed sound. So when do we use this famous schwa sound? I've never heard anyone say in the middle of a sentence, you might be thinking. Well, let me explain. So as mentioned, this schwa sound can be used to replace vowels in words in order to make them easier to say or to connect with other words in a sentence. And this can be done with any of the vowels, and I'll show you some examples now. So we'll start with A. This is A, right? So normally you'd say A or A. However, this is very commonly replaced with a schwa in British English, so it becomes and I'll show you some words now. So right here we have about. It's not about, it's not about, it's about. Alone, not alone, not alone, alone, Around. Amazing. And you'll notice with this word, the first A is a schwa, but the second A isn't a schwa, it's A, so amazing. We'll get onto that later. Extra. So extra, the schwa sound at the end. And this shows you that the schwa doesn't actually have to be at the start of a word. It can be at the start, the middle, the end, anywhere, as long as there is a vowel there, okay? Another example. E, and once again this is quite commonly replaced with a schwa, so it's not E or it becomes For example, taken, not taken, taken. Item, problem, it's not problem, happen, children. Okay, and you'll notice this all sounds very natural. I'm not forcing this whatsoever, because this is genuinely how I say these words. We use this schwa sound a lot, okay? The next vowel is I. Now this is probably the least likely vowel to be turned into a schwa, but it does still happen. So for example, easily, easily, not easily, not easily, easily. Pencil. That's a good example. Pencil, not pencil, not pensile, pencil. Okay? Next up we have O, and this is another one that's really commonly replaced with a schwa. So instead of O or, it becomes For example, today. police, police. Effort, effort, not effort, not effort, effort, Doctor, doctor. Now this is another good example, kind of similar to amazing that we did earlier. One of these O's is a schwa, so the second one is a schwa, and the first one isn't. So we have doc, o, the normal O sound, then t, so the schwa sound, okay? And finally, button, 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 schwa sound. And finally we have U, which is sometimes turned into a schwa, but not as common as A, E, or O. So for example, success, success. Regular, 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 regular. Popular, popular. Okay? So, as mentioned, the schwa sound can appear in any vowel, but it's most commonly found in A, E, or O, which become and Now, you might be thinking, well, Dylan, that's brilliant, but how do I know if a word contains a schwa in it, if I should say or a? And that's a good question. Let me explain. So, where do we find these schwas? Well, the first thing to know is that, unfortunately, there isn't really a concrete rule about whether a vowel should be a schwa or not. But that's fine, because we do have a few pretty consistent rules for you to follow, and then you'll be able to listen out to other native speakers, and they can show you which words should or shouldn't have schwas in them. And most importantly, you'll be able to understand why, because you understand the theory. And honestly, that's kind of what developing a British accent is all about, just understanding the core theory, listening out to native speakers apply this theory, and then copying them. And that's why shadowing is so good. And don't worry, we have a lot of shadowing practice throughout this module. I've got you covered. Right then, let me teach you the rules. So firstly, the schwa normally appears in unstressed parts of words. So every word has at least one syllable that you put more stress onto, and therefore the other parts of that word are unstressed and often schwa sounds. And by stressed, I just mean the part of the word that you say louder and more clearly than the others. So let me show you some examples. We have this word here, agree. And here we have two syllables, and agree. So I just want you to listen to how I say it and work out which part I say louder and more clearly. Agree. 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 So hopefully it's quite obvious that the gree is a lot louder and the is a lot faster, and that is why it's a schwa sound. Agree. Agree. Okay, I'll show you some more examples. So we have balloon. 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 Here the loon is a lot stronger, right? And the b is a schwa sound. Balloon. Balloon. Banana. Banana. So we have na. There's a big stress in the middle. Banana. So the b is a schwa, the na isn't, but the n is. Banana. Banana. Alone. 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 The very short. The lone is very strong. So that's the stressed part, and the is the schwa. Chocolate. 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 So the first part is stressed, choc, and the second part is just a simple schwa sound, chocolate. Now, if you're wondering how you can find the stressed part in a word, simply just say that word slowly and listen out for the part that sounds louder and more clear than the others. So, chocolate. Chocolate. And chocolate. You can hear there's a lot of emphasis on the chocolate, right? Now, at this stage, I don't want you to worry too much about the stressed and unstressed parts of words, because it can get quite complicated and honestly just isn't really essential at the moment. However, that is going to be a really useful tip for you to know about the schwa, and it will help your understanding of why a native speaker might choose to use one. I'm sorry to keep saying this, but we do have a lot of practice later on in the module, all to do with stressed and unstressed parts of words. Now, the next rule I'm going to teach you will absolutely blow your mind. It's amazing. But before we get to that, there's just one more rule I need to teach you about individual words as well. Okay, so this kind of ties in with the one that we just learned, but as a general tip, when a word has a suffix attached to it, and that is just the thing that you add to the end of the word to turn it into another type of word, that suffix is very likely to be a schwa. And it's quite simple, right? So I'll give you an example. We have this word teach, which is a verb. Let's say you want to turn that into a noun. You'd say teacher, teacher. So the suffix is a, which is a schwa, teacher, teacher. And as mentioned, this ties in with the previous rule, because now we have this new word, teacher. You stress the teach part, and the little part at the end, is a schwa. Or we have run, run, runner, runner. You stress run, the is a schwa. Act, actor, actor. The suffix at the end is a schwa. Edit, editor, editor. So the at the end as a schwa. So as a general rule, you know that if you see a word that has been modified, the suffix at the end, the bit that has changed the word, is unstressed and very likely to be a schwa. Okay, so we are now getting into my favorite rule. So, you will very often hear schwas being used in function words. And this is something that I want you to listen out for throughout the rest of the course. So what is a function word? Well, function words are the small words that you see in sentences, such as the, to, a, and, of, that by themselves don't really carry much meaning but are essential for linking together the important words in the sentence. So these are likely to be prepositions, conjunctions, articles, things like that. Let me show you some examples. So we have this word here, the, which with a schwa becomes the. We have to, which becomes to. We have of, which becomes of. We have a, which becomes a. And, which becomes und. For, which becomes for. And that, which becomes that. Of course, there are a lot more examples of this now, but this is just to teach the general theory behind it. Now, I appreciate this might sound a bit weird at first, right? People don't say of, or that, or und, or for. And you're absolutely right. Individually, we don't say these words like that. And if you look at the phonetic spelling of these words, none of them actually contain schwas. However, you need to remember that the whole point of the schwa is to make it easier for us to connect words together. And therefore, when these words are in sentences and we do need to connect them together, we are very likely to use a schwa. Just listen to this. The weather took a turn for the worse and we're to cancel the rest of the trip. And that sounded completely natural, right? And very British. And you'll notice now as I'm talking, I'm using these schwa function words in pretty much all of my sentences. So why do we do this? Well, as mentioned, it just helps us to link the words together. I want you to listen to this sentence again, but this time I won't use any schwas, and we can hear the difference. The weather took a turn for the worst, and we had to cancel the rest of the trip. That was horrible. Sorry, let's try that again. The weather took a turn for the worse, and we had to cancel the rest of the trip. That is much better. Thank you so much, Schwa. So as you can see, these schwa function words are really useful for linking, and don't worry because we will cover all of this in the linking section of the module. Right, so I know that by now you must be absolutely dying to have a go yourself, so let's do some shadowing. I will read you some words and sentences and you just need to repeat after me, paying special attention to the schwa sounds. I will read each one 3 times and will also highlight the stress parts as well as the schwas themselves, okay? So let's start with the words. Travel. 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 Pencil. 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 2 more. Animal. 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 Agenda. 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 You know what, we'll do one more just for fun. happen, happen, happen. Very good. Right, let's try some sentences. And once again, I want you to pay special attention to the function words. I'm going to be reading these at a very natural pace because that is when you are most likely to hear the schwa sound. Okay, so repeat after me. I have a dog. I have a dog. I have a dog. I have a dog. It's an idea. It's an idea. It's an idea. It's an idea. And yeah, I said a natural pace. And yeah, I'm speaking quite fast because, as I'm sure you know, British people do tend to speak quite fast. Okay. They're at the station. They're at the station. They're at the station. So they're at the station. They arrived at about 9. They arrived at about 9. They arrived at about 9. So they arrived at about 9. Okay. Right, we're going to try a few longer ones now. We stayed at a hotel near the beach. 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 I need to grab a coffee before the meeting starts. I need to grab a coffee before the meeting starts. I need to grab a coffee before the meeting starts. Okay, so we have need to grab a coffee before the meeting starts. And we'll do one more. It was a bit of a disaster, to be honest. It was a bit of a disaster, to be honest. It was a bit of a disaster, to be honest. Okay, so it was a bit of a disaster, to be honest. Very good. And in the next lesson, we will be doing some more practice as well. Don't worry. Okay, so by now, you should be absolutely schwa crazy. This is the best thing in the entire world. You're probably thinking to yourself, and trust me, I agree. But the question is, when don't we use the schwa? Are there any exceptions? And yes, there are a few. So firstly, as you already know, we don't use the schwa on the stressed part of a word. Here, it doesn't matter how fast we are talking, we will always say the full vowel sound. Okay, so if you look at a word like about, it doesn't matter if we are speaking very quickly, we'll never say a but. We'll say bout, because that's the stressed part of the word, so we say it properly. Secondly, most one-syllable words don't contain schwa sounds. Of course, with the function words, we turn those into schwas, so that and but most one-syllable words aren't function words, and we are unlikely to use a schwa. So I'm talking about, normal words such as cat, dog, book, jump, walk, nouns and verbs. And we call these content words, and these are the ones that the function words actually link together. Now for these, you normally stress the whole word, and therefore we need to say the vowel sound properly. We can't use a schwa. Thirdly, if you are looking to speak very clearly or slowly on purpose, you may not use a schwa. So if you are explaining important instructions to someone, or maybe you are just emphasizing what you are saying. For example, you could say, "This is the best pen I have ever used in my life." So here, I really want to put emphasis on how good this pen is, and therefore I want to say every word clearly and slowly, so I won't use any schwas. That is a bit of a niche rule, but it's worth knowing. And finally, the amount of schwas you use does depend on your accent. So personally, I use these a lot, but in other British accents, they may not use them as much. So as a general rule, it's probably most commonly used in Southern English accents. And that is the schwa sound, this beautiful, weird, upside down E thing that is so important. Right, it's now time to test out your knowledge in a fun, interactive exercise, but before we get to that, I just want to quickly show you something. So as mentioned, this entire lesson was taken from the second module of my online fluency course, which officially launches today. And I would just like to very quickly share some more details with you. Are you ready to level up your modern RP British accent in a fun and interactive way? Well, if so, I'd like to welcome you to the new British Accent Mastery module of my 5-in-1 online course. The British Accent Mastery module is the second and latest addition to the program and contains over 70 lessons split into 2 different parts. For the first part, I will teach you all the rules and techniques that you need to know in order to develop a natural, modern RP British accent. This includes the schwa sound, all the different linking patterns, reductions, intonation and tone, word stress, tricky sounds, common mistakes, and much more. For the second part, you will then get the chance to shadow over 600 of the most important words, over 100 sentences, and 4 stories. This is the perfect opportunity to apply all the theory you learned in part 1, allowing you to feel truly confident using your British accent in real life situations. We do also have loads of fun interactive exercises, vocal warm-ups, self-paced quizzes, as well as comprehensive downloadable PDFs to go with all the theory and your very own certificate when you are done as well. Now, as mentioned, this is a 5-in-1 course, so you will also get access to the other 4 modules, which are just as detailed and engaging as this one is. Module 1 is all to do with vocabulary. It contains over 40 exclusive lessons, teaching you more than 250 of the most essential and advanced words and expressions that you need to know to be a fluent speaker. Module 3 is all about speaking and includes over 50 lessons, some breaking down real native conversations to show you how to sound more fluent, others analyzing student conversations to highlight common mistakes that you may also be making. And of course, there are loads of interactive speaking exercises as well. Module 4, listening, and here you'll get a huge range of fun, unique listening tests from the B1 to C2 level. These feature native speakers, international learners, audio-only clips, fill-in-the-gap exercises, and much more. And finally, Module 5 is a fun bonus section where I will teach you all about British culture and everything that you need to know before coming here. In total, the course contains over 210 video lessons and over 125 interactive exercises and downloadable PDFs. So starting today, Friday the 18th of July, you can now enjoy exclusive early access to the British Accent Mastery and Vocabulary modules of this incredible course and start learning right away. So you will instantly get all 114 lessons and PDFs from modules 1 and 2, and then immediate access to the other 3 modules as soon as they're available in the coming weeks. Not only that, but if you purchase now, you will also receive a huge £100 discount, as well as lifetime access to all 5 modules, including any additional videos or lessons that I add in the future. So as you can probably tell by now, I have poured my entire heart and soul into making sure that this course allows you to become truly confident and fluent in all areas of British English. And honestly, I'm so proud of it, and I think that you will absolutely love it. However, if for whatever reason you don't, it's all good, because you can try the course completely risk-free thanks to my 30-day, no questions asked, full money-back guarantee. So no matter what, you are covered. Now, I'm only opening this exclusive early access offer up to a limited number of students, so hit the link in the top comment to get started right now before it's too late. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you there. Hi there. So over the next 2 classes, we are going to practice spotting and using the schwa in everyday words and sentences. Let me explain how it works. So I will start by reading you some everyday words and sentences containing schwa sounds, and you just need to listen carefully. You will then have 5 seconds to identify as many of these schwas as you can. However, if you need more time, just pause the video. I will then reveal the answer and will read the text out loud 3 times so you can shadow after me. Right, good luck, enjoy, and as always, remember to check out the PDF for all of the answers, explanations, and a few extra tips. Okay, let's do this. Right, let's start with an easy one, just one word. All you need to do is listen carefully and spot the schwas. Sofa, sofa, sofa. And the schwa is of course here. So we stress the first syllable, so, and the f is a schwa. Easy. So just repeat after me, okay? Sofa, sofa, sofa. Very good. Now let's move on to 2 words. Melon, parent. Melon, parent. Melon, parent. And the schwas are here. So once again, we stress the me in melon and pair in parent. So the other parts of the words are schwas, right? Now just repeat after me. Melon, parent. Melon, parent. Melon, parent. Nice. Okay, let's try 3 words. Tomato, second, vegetable. Tomato, second, vegetable. Tomato, second, vegetable. Yeah, these are a bit harder, but the schwas are here. So we'll break it down 1 word at a time. So firstly, we have tomato. Tomato. So the schwa is at the start. T, ma, you stress the ma part, so that isn't a schwa. And it's tomato. It's not tomata, so there isn't a schwa there. Just 1. Tomato. Tomato. Secondly, we have second. 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 So the stress is clearly on the sec, and then the und is a lot quieter, a lot shorter. So that is the schwa, second. And then the third one's quite tricky, vegetable. Vegetable. So yeah, there are 2 schwas here. The stress is on the veg, and then we have veg-ta-bull. Veg-ta-bull. Okay? So just repeat after me. Tomato, second, vegetable. Tomato, second, vegetable. Tomato, second, vegetable. Very good. Okay, so it's the same as usual. Just listen carefully and try to identify the schwas. We have 5 sentences and each one will get progressively harder and harder. Good luck. It's about time. It's about time. It's about time. Right, so hopefully you notice just 1 schwa here. About. About. Right, let's shadow this then. It's about time. It's about time. It's about time. Very good. She went to the park. She went to the park. She went to the park. And we have the function words, my favorite, t and the. Now, just as a quick reminder, when we say these words individually, we are unlikely to include a schwa, so they would normally be to and the. But when they are in the middle of a sentence, and if we are speaking quickly, we are pretty much always going to turn these into schwas, so t and the. Now, there's something else I just realized I forgot to mention during the schwa video. You may notice as I'm talking that sometimes these function words are schwas and sometimes they aren't schwas. And the reason behind that is just bear in mind that I am teaching right now. So I'm going to try to speak as clearly as possible. And that's why sometimes the function words won't be schwas if I'm explaining something slower than usual. But most of the time, these will be schwas when I talk. Okay? Anyway, just repeat after me. She went to the park. She went to the park. She went to the park. Good job. We had a banana. We had a banana. We had a banana. And the schwas are here. So two function words, hood, and then na, stresses on na. We hood, na. We had a banana. Okay. Now it's important to note that in a sentence, a is pretty much always going to be that's always going to be a schwa, and banana is an individual word, so that's always going to have two schwas in it. However, with had becoming hood, that's kind of up to you. So me personally, I use a lot of schwas and I tend to speak quite quickly as well. So I would say we had banana, but you don't have to turn this individual word into a schwa if you don't want to. It's perfectly acceptable to say we had a banana. That sounds very natural as well. We had a banana. I guess what I'm trying to say is different speakers will use different schwas to different extents. So it's just up to you how much you want to use the schwa. Just listen out to the type of accents you want to emulate and just do what feels natural to you. Don't force anything, okay? Right, repeat after me. We had a banana. We had a banana. We had a banana. Good job. Now, let's up the difficulty a bit. She bought a sofa, a chair, and a table. She bought a sofa, a chair, and a table. She bought a sofa, a chair, and a table. So we have 6 schwas here. Let's break it down. She, no. Bought, no. Yes. Sofa, yes. Yes. Chair, no. Und, yes. Yes. Table, yes. So a schwa right at the end there. Right. Repeat after me. She bought a sofa, a chair, and a table. She bought a sofa, a chair, and a table. She bought a sofa, a chair, and a table. Nice, okay. Right, final sentence. Good luck. I'm going to the cinema at about 5. I'm going to the cinema at about 5. I'm going to the cinema at about 5. Okay, so this sentence contains 6 schwas. Yeah. So of course we have the function words, to, the, ut, then we have about, making 4, and the final 2 actually come in this word, cinema. Cinema. So this word, the stress is on the sin, and then we have n, ma. It's not sin, e, ma, sin, e, ma, sin, ma, it's cinema. Cinema. And that is very schwa-y for you, so well done if you got that. Right, for the final time, please repeat after me. I'm going to the cinema at about 5. I'm going to the cinema at about 5. I'm going to the cinema at about 5. Okay, good job. Okay, and there we have it. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this lesson, I would seriously recommend checking out the rest of the course. This accent module alone has taken me about 4 months to make, and hopefully you can tell from this video how detailed and interactive the whole thing is. So I'll teach you all of the essential theory that you need to know in order to develop a natural modern RP British accent. We also have loads of these fun, unique interactive exercises, so you get to practice everything right away. So you can hit the link in the top comment right now to get instant access to the first 2 modules, claim your £100 discount, and of course try everything risk-free thanks to my 30-day, no questions asked, full money-back guarantee. And whilst you are there, make sure to claim your free PDF as well. So thank you again for watching. I post new videos every single Friday, so remember to like, subscribe and comment down below, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.